Hello and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host, Jo Milmine, and this is episode 161, Colourwork Sock Inspiration.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright. I need a drink, I need a friend, I need your help. I want to smile again.
Hello, and welcome to episode 161 of the Shiny Bees podcast. I'm Jo, I'm your host. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of October, 2020. And we're back again. How are you? I hope you've been well since last time I spoke to you. If you are a returning listener, hello, welcome back as always. And if you're a newbie today, thank you for giving us a try, and I hope you will enjoy what you find here. So yeah, how are you doing? It is half term where I am in the UK at the moment, and it wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't on a yellow rain warning for the rest of the week and it hadn't been torrential since the beginning of the week. And there's nothing quite like being in a tier 3 lockdown where you can't do anything inside, go near anybody, lick anybody, be friends with anybody, or do anything remotely fun, for it then to be absolutely hoofing down the rest of the time. It's only just stopped battering the window, and it's so dreary, drab and grey here that I've had to put the lamps on because I can barely see what I am doing. But that, whilst it's not terribly joyful and practical for doing half-term fun with the children when there is nothing indoors that you can do without catching the Rona, it is pretty good knitting weather. So crank up your heating, basically, get your knitting out, and join me today for a little bit of chat. We are going to be talking about Colourwork sock patterns. It's a bit of a pattern pick. I did a pattern for Socktober a couple of episodes ago and suggested a pattern, and I kind of planned to do like one pattern per episode for October, but I was over in the Shiny Bees podcast community where I'm hanging out with all of the coolest people every day. Lovely, lovely corner of the internet. And someone's like, oh, I thought I was going to get like a full-on pattern pick and not just one. So, of course, me being the thoughtful and dedicated host of the Shiny Bees podcast and a little bit of a lover of a pattern pick, I have done another one today for you. And it is on the subject of Colourwork socks in particular. Now, they do look massively A-level. Very impressive. And I don't really know how long they take to knit if you're going to do the full-on knee-high Colourwork, changing colours, pattern sock extravaganza. I've never done them, never knitted a sock that big. But they look a lot of fun and lots of kind of ideas and inspiration to be had, including in one particular hero of the Colourwork sock who has found her way into pattern picks in the past and has managed to do it again today. So yeah, before that there'll be a little bit of general chit chat, but that is going to be the topic of the show. So grab your brew, get your knitting, and we will crack on with the show. So, who is still alive on day 2 of half term? Just about. I'd be lying if I said I was, like super nanny, kicking ass, taking names, crafting up a storm with my kids. It's just not true. I don't know about you, but I don't actually know how I survived locked up on my own with them for 6 months. I don't know if it's been that kind of, easing of springs, of sending them back to school and having a little bit of time where you're not engaging in random chit chat about Roblox or whatever. Or what? I've no idea. But yeah, goodness me, I feel like I'm going to strangle them already, and it's only been one day. Oh, great. So roll on them going back. Fingers crossed they don't get sent home to isolate. I think I will actually kill someone if they do. So yeah, Lancashire, tier 3. What an absolute treat. I don't think we've even really been out of that much of a lockdown up here. And people ask me, like my mother-in-law, she's a southerner, bless her. And she's like, why is it riddled up there? Like, why? She didn't say riddled, obviously, it's not a southern word, but she's like, so Jo, tell me. She's got a shrill voice because she's a southerner. Tell me, why do you think it's just so bad up there? And I'm like, because we all go around licking each other because we're northerners and we're friendly, aren't we? Like deadpan. She's like, really? No, we're all working in factories up here. We can't do this whole working from home thing unless you work for the council, you've got a proper job. Or as we used to call it in Wigan, you grow up and get a proper job and go and work at Goss, Great Universal, the catalogue shop, and then basically become like a thief to order. Do you like my new trainers? They fell off back of a lorry. All of that stuff, So there's just a lot more of that up here. Well, certainly where I am, there's a lot more of that. You don't get many big kind of like food distribution places or warehouses or anything in leafy Sussex because the land costs too much. The infrastructure's a bit rubbish. So, we've got loads of railways, we've got loads of motorways. We don't mind a bit of air pollution. We're down with that since the Industrial Revolution. So, yeah, it's all happening up north. And, she was just wondering why it is like so dreadfully prevalent up here. And, it's all of those reasons and a few more, I'm guessing. But yeah, it's just a little bit like, oh, really, Boris, We had a little bit of fun watching good old Andy Burnham, King of the North, kicking off for a bit. Do like a bit of a scrap with the Southerners, but yeah, it's all got a bit boring and quiet now, and you can't really go and have any fun or do anything, which is a bit rubbish when it is literally torrential rain and yellow rain warning for the rest of the week. Love it. I've also got when I bought my house, it had these pale cream tiles. I would never have picked them. Dreadfully impractical in the kitchen area. And every time the dogs go onto the waterlogged lawn, which is several times a day, I just get black paw prints all over the kitchen floor. I've just forgotten how dreadfully soul destroying that is. But luckily, I've got, I laugh every time I see it, so puerile. I've got a mop called a Boner mop. From the internet, Boner, it's called Bona, not Boner, different kind of boner. And it's dead good. It's like this little spray mop thing that you can mop up with. It's a good job, really, because that's all I'm doing at the moment. So if you are in lockdown fun, and let's face it, most places are, the Southerners are not going to escape for much longer. We're coming for you. And I know some of my crew, my shiny crew down in Melbourne are locked up. They won't let me out as well. And those of you elsewhere who are locked up, I feel sorry for the Welsh. I don't know anyone who's ever caught COVID off a freaking duvet, but, you crack on over there. Whatever. But yeah, all of us have been a little bit kind of struggling and locked up. So if that's you, I'm sending out my shiny high five, keep it real to you. And hopefully we'll, at some stage be allowed to have some fun. Ever. I took the liberty of putting in a booths order just in case. They sent me some food porn through the letterbox. I was like, sorry, I'm just going to order a lot of like ready-made stuff from booths for Christmas. I just bang it all in the oven and then feel really like smug and not have to peel any carrots. So that made me feel a little bit better. But yeah, it's all just a little bit. I'm looking for that pinprick at the end of the tunnel. And I think that'll come like next Tuesday when these men go back to these kiddies go back to school and they can get on with doing cool stuff. Speaking of doing cool stuff, I have been over in my Shiny Bees community. If you're not already over there, then do go over there and check it out. You can find it shinybees.com/community. It's on Mighty Networks and it's just a lovely corner of the internet where we chat about knitting and share our projects and have a bit of a laugh. And yeah, it's cool. Really enjoying it. So I'd love to see you over there if you're not there already. maybe I'll fire up some sort of knit-along action over there. Not sure yet, working on that still. And in other news, I'm back over doing my coaching stuff that I was doing prior to going and taking the contracts in China. I was teaching business stuff and online business and mentoring for a variety of different businesses, not just Shani's. Had a psychic, a couple of accountants, a PR, a couple of web developers, and some yarnies as well, which is pretty awesome, and artists, creative types. And yeah, I've got a new program starting next Monday on the 1st of November, and basically it is like smashing that reset button, the big old Mega Drive reset button in my head is how it is. And yeah, there's still a couple of months left of 2020. God knows how long this absolute rolling goat of a pandemic and government are going to go on for. Like, we can't just wait for them, you know, and I just don't want to get to the end of the year and think, well, bugger me, I've written nothing in either of my two planners, I've achieved nothing that I wanted to achieve, and that be it, really. And I think there's like a line to be a balance to be found, I think is probably a better way of describing it, between honouring where you are right now with all of the crazy, and also honouring the fact that you had big ideas and things you wanted to get done this year, and not to just let it be a write-off right at the end if you don't want to. So yeah, it's going to be like a group program that I'm putting together, and we're going to work on, it's not going to be learning a lot of things. It's going to be focused on achieving some of the things you want to achieve before the end of the year. It's 3 months long, and there'll be calls, there'll be weekly co-working online. We've got a forum where we can ask questions and get help. I'll be doing accountability via email as well. Like, I'm putting in all of the different things, my little box of tricks for getting people from where they are to where they want to be. I'm putting all of that together for my crew, and yeah, with the aim of getting some stuff done. So I've got some people signed up already who were former Business at the Bollocks members, and a couple of people are writing books, actually, getting books out. Someone's doing some workbooks, someone's doing some pattern books, someone's doing an actual book. So there's a lot of book writing going on, but also things like working on the website, getting all of that sort of thing back end sort of thing, and put together ready for kind of pushing into next year and kind of cracking on, really. We just have to crack on with things now, but in a way that's not all rah, get it done. I mean, I can't, obviously, I was in the military, I can do the whole boot camp thing if you want, but I just don't think that necessarily works. And I feel like a kind of supportive group of people, just when you get that, I just can't be doing with COVID anymore, I can't be doing this, I can't seem to get my head past that, are just there to go, have you thought about this, have you thought about that, what about this, jump on a call with you or answer a question for you and get you going again. And that always works really well for me, and so that's what I've put together, really. So if you're not in my Business at the Bollocks Facebook group, which is still over there kind of chunnering along in the background, then you can go over there and join that. But if you're interested in finding out more about this program, it is more tailored towards if you've got a business doing something. But if you are working on a creative project that you would like some support on, like writing a book or something like that, then you're absolutely welcome to come and join. And you can find that at shinybees.com/reset. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. It's very exciting, very exciting. Been at my new co-working desk at the Digital Hub around the corner, and loving life and feeling a bit normal being out of the house and like working on my projects again. And yeah, building my website and writing my book. So loving that. So yeah, from that now on to the nitty content and all of that good stuff. So as I said, there was a comment in the Shiny Bees podcast club, like the community, about sock patterns and wanting more suggestions, more ideas of sock patterns. And you know, I love a pattern pick. So that's what I've done this week. I've gone for something a little bit more difficult. I've gone for Colourwork sock patterns. And the idea being that a lot of people are quite keen to try Colourwork. And I think that sometimes having a finished object that looks really impressive and is really exciting can be quite motivating. And a lot of the time, it's only two-stranded colour work. It's not super complicated. It looks it, but it's not actually that complicated to do when you get into it. And sometimes it's about just having a bit of a try. And they look really impressive. So I think some of these things, not that I'm going to mention the C word, Christmas, yet, but if you're going to be doing any gift knitting or anything like that, this could be a really good option for some of that, really, because it just looks, they look quite impressive. And I think if you received any hand knit socks, because obviously you're only going to knit for the knit worthy, because you don't want someone to just wash them and straight away and ruin them. But sometimes, you know, plain socks are great, pattern socks are great, but I think Colourwork socks just have that edge. And some of these patterns are pretty flipping amazing. Like, I would be so impressed if I received a pair of these from someone. So let's go and have a look at them. I have tried, hashtag full disclosure, tried my best to find a balance between picking sock patterns that are off Ravelry, available off Ravelry as well. Obviously, I have to go into Ravelry to search these at the moment because there just aren't that many. Well, there's no real other easy places to go and research these. Where there is an off Ravelry link option, I will put the off Ravelry link option in as a preference. Unfortunately, some of these are on Ravelry, and if you are still having trouble accessing the site but would like to purchase them or would like me to go in and do that for you or whatever, then I can totally do that to help you out. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack into the pattern pick. So the first one I have for you is, excuse me, but I've got an A in German at GCSE. Doesn't mean I'm going to be able to pronounce this because it was not on my vocab list, unlike Umkleidekabine, which is my favourite German word. Big up my German listeners, German speaking listeners. It's probably bad pronunciation. Umkleidekabine, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Zwergenaufstand by Ducati. I so need someone to help me with this. It's been such a long time since I spoke German. The only things I can really remember is Aufpassen Sie bitte and Entschuldigung Sie bitte, which I think mean like listen and pay attention, please. Can't think why that happened. And anyway, this pattern is €5. It is a 4-ply sock yarn and it's an all-over Colourwork pattern. So like on the top of the leg, on the top, if you're looking down on your feet, there is, again, a 2-colour pattern. It's like a tessellated pattern with sort of like a chain that goes around the outside of some snowflakes. So it looks quite intricate. And on the bottom, underneath, on the sole of the foot, there is another pattern. It's made out of it's tessellated again, made out of sort of smaller diamond square type shapes, which all sounds very same. But also on the underside, there's a little dwarf on the underside of the foot, and it's dead cute. Love it. So yeah, that's €5. Zwergenaufstand by Ducati. And Ducati also does a range of other colourwork and sock patterns as well that are worth checking out. Number 2 is the Swedish Fish Socks by Spilly Jane. That is a paid for pattern. It's $6 and it is for Colourwork socks. And they have got stripes underneath the sole. And then all around the rest of the sock, they've got this little fishy pattern that kind of goes one way, faces one way, then the other. Kind of like a cartoon fish with the oval and then the little triangular tail. Which reminds me of, do you remember? Oh, I said, do you remember? Like, I don't know how widespread these particular snacks were because at that point in time I didn't have the internet. But do you remember the little fish and chips snacks you used to get? And they were like a little baked kind of mazy, floury snack biscuit thing that had this really strong salt and vinegar taste on it. Reminded me of those, which was super nostalgic, and that's why I included them in this pattern pick. Number 3 is Katia Kansa, obliterating the finish, by Lumi Karmitsa. Lumi Karmitsa is a little bit of a hero of mine at the moment. I'm going to have to see if I can get her on to the podcast. I don't know if she will interview in English. I can't speak Finnish, so we'll have to see how that goes. But awesome designer. This is a pattern for some DK Colourwork socks, and it's got cats up the front of the legs, like 3 cats going up the front of the leg, little faces looking out at you. And then outside of the cats, there's sort of like this snowflakey flowery type pattern. I don't know the proper like name for that motif, but it's quite common in these very Scandi socks. And I must say the Colourwork socks are massively dominated by designers from Scandinavia and Europe, basically, with a much, not that we don't have I don't know how traditional it is for in the UK to have it, but it's definitely a very Scandinavian style to have the Colourwork mittens, the Colourwork socks. So that it's definitely a genre of knitting that is dominated by the Scandinavians. And this pattern is in Finnish. I think it is going to be translated into English at some stage. But I mean, come on, people. Google Translate exists. Let's just get on with it and not be princesses when it's not written in English. And it is available for €6. Says the girl who basically has to translate her entire Chinese life into some very, very dodgy translations of Chinese characters from Google Translate. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Number 4 is Pünktchen by Fritzi Creative. This is written in German. It's a free pattern. German's not that hard, really. I mean, other than pronouncing it badly, it's not that difficult to read because it's, Germanic language. The UK has a lot of words that sound English has a lot of words that sound very similar. So I don't think it's that difficult personally, but it's okay. We've got Google Translate. We're all good. And most of it is just like knit, innit? Or whatever. So anyway, it's a fingering weight pattern using a gradient yarn, or you could use a variegated yarn to create kind of colourful bands around the sock. So it doesn't look traditionally Colourwork, but that's how they've done it to kind of make the pattern. And because it's quite simple, this might be a good option for someone who, if you're going to gift knit for someone who doesn't like super fancy socks. I mean, I don't even know who they are and why you'd be friends with them, frankly, but you might know somebody like that, and you might want to knit them some socks. But it's just a bit of a simpler pattern compared to all of the rest of the patterns. It's something a bit more of a starter pattern for you to have a crack at. And they look really good. They'll still be really impressive to receive as a gift. So that is Pünktchen by Fritzi Creative, a free pattern for you. Number 5, Placido Flamingo by Jenny Penny. This is written in Swedish and English. It is 50 krona. Krona. But the Swedish call it crowns when they talk about it. Krona, which is about £4.58. And these are flamingo socks. Loads of people really love flamingos. And these little Colourwork flamingos are stood on one leg, and they're all the way around the foot and around the leg of the sock with contrasting heels and toe and cuff, which I thought was pretty cool. My sis likes the flamingo. So I thought I'd put that in there and hope that she doesn't ask me to knit her some. Number 6 is the Happy Haunts Socks by Valerie Wibbins. This is a free pattern and it's more of a recipe really rather than a pattern for some Colourwork socks, and they have like a stripy toe and then they go into this little ghost pattern that repeats all over the sock. A little comedy ghost with a little kind of ghosty classic ghost mouth and eyes. It's really cool, and the charts are included in that, so you could use that pattern to put the little wee ghosts on something else if you wanted to, and yeah, just stay cute. But like I said, that's a free one that is available, the Happy Haunt Socks by Valerie Wibbins. Number 7 are the bee socks. I'm hoping somebody makes these for me. By the Knitted Dingo. This is a pattern, paid for pattern, it's £7 and it's got intarsia bees around the top of the leg, just below the cuff, with contrasting heel, toe, cuff, and knitted in 4-ply. Just nice. I love a bee, clearly, so had to include those as well. Number 8 is the Bird Resting Place by Della Houseman. This is a free pattern. It's knitted in 4-ply yarn and it comes in English and in German. And the body of the sock is covered in silhouettes of different birds. So it's not a repeating same bird motif. They're different sizes of birds, different types of birds. And they're sitting on branches. And it uses a Crazy Zauber ball, which is a colour changing sock yarn. If you're not familiar, they come already as a round ball. They're about £10 to buy. Shop and Wooler make Zauber balls. So it's a German yarn. And as you knit it, it changes colour. So you can see the stripes of colour. When you buy one, you'll see it's wrapped in stripes of colour. So they've used this to knit the birds, and obviously that makes the birds change colour as you go further up the sock, which is quite a cool idea. So that is the Bird Resting Place by Della Houseman. Number 9 are the Spooky Socks by Kristen McLaren. This is a paid for pattern. It is $5 and it's written in English. It is for fingering weight yarn. And these are Halloween socks. So they have strips like a Christmas stocking would have, little stripes of different motifs that go all the way up the sock and then all the way up the leg. And it's got stuff like skulls, it's got a bat motif, pumpkin, faces, like a Space Invader one, like the little ghost. Is it Space Invaders or... It's not Space Invaders. I've written Space Invaders, but I mean the ghosts off of Pac-Man is what I actually mean. Which is cool. You can change around obviously which motif you want in which order, and it's a good way of using up scraps. A lot of these strips use up 16 to 60 yards of each colour, so it's a good way of, you know, cracking through some of those as well, or some mini skein sets if you have any of those lying around and you haven't used them in a pattern that we covered in the mini skeins episode. Last but by no means least is Hexpin by Dot Stabbles. This is a paid for pattern. It is €5 and it is written in English. It is for 4-ply yarn and it is a top-down sock. And the sock is covered in a hexagonal geometric honeycomb type design. So this is quite simple, but I think it looks really good the way that they've done it with a colour changing yarn as the contrast colour, which means that as the pattern moves, the colours change as well and makes it look a lot more complex than, you know, maybe it really is. And I think it works particularly well if it is a colour changing yarn that is tones of the same colour. So this one is in the picture on Ravelry, it's like blues and greys, so it works really well together rather than the hard rainbow colour change or whatever like that. I think it looks a little bit more, well, sophisticated is a word, but it looks like it was harder to knit if the colours are quite similar. And I don't know why, but it just gives that impression. So a great use, if you don't want to do it in that way, you could use any variegated, self-stripe, gradient, you know, these yarns that can sometimes be hard to make the most of. This would be a pattern that would show them off quite nicely. So I want to give a last honourable re-mention, because she got a little bit of a mention earlier, to Lumi Karmitsa, I had to choose one of the sock patterns and it was quite difficult, to be honest, because she's done like quite a lot of really good ones, and including one that has a unicorn on. Obviously I'm going to love that, love a unicorn. But a lot of the ones where I was like, oh wow, look at that, and I would look and it would be her that had designed them. But obviously I can't just do I probably could do an episode with 10 of her socks on, frankly, because she's got enough great patterns it'd be worth it. But obviously you want to spread the love around a little bit. So definitely, if you're interested in Colourwork socks and maybe one of these 10 hasn't tickled your fancy so much, or you just like looking at patterns like I do, then that is a designer that would be a good person to check out. Unfortunately, her designs are just on Ravelry at the moment, but she has got some books. So maybe if you don't want to be on Ravelry, to go check out her books would be a good alternative. So yeah, they're my suggestions for some Colourwork socks for you. If you have any favourites that you like, any go-to patterns that you like to knit for Colourwork socks, or any really great tutorials or resources that you would like to share with me and I can then share out with the wider Shiny Bees community, then please do let me know. If you are in our Shiny Bees community, you can post it in the techniques section over there, which means everyone can find it over there. If you're not, why aren't you in our community? Come join us, we're super friendly. And if you would rather, you can email me info@shinybees.com or contact me on the socials where I am at Shiny Bees. So yeah, that's all I've got time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget, as I said, you can come and join the Shiny Bees podcast club over on Mighty Networks. Just go to shinybees.com/community and it will automatically redirect you there and I can let you in. And if you want to join my reset program, then you can find that at shinybees.com/reset. The show notes for this episode will be available when I've done them. It is half term, you're going to have to bear with me. And they will be at shinybees.com/161. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please do take care wherever you are in the world, particularly if you are locked up again like I am. Sending all of the love out to you and just give me a shout, dude. If you're on your own or whatever, give me a shout. Come over into our community. There's always someone there chatting or doing something. You just basically don't be on your own. So have a wonderful week. Happy crafting, and I will speak to you again soon. Cheers. Thanks for listening to the Shiny Bees podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. And make sure you subscribe to the show to get the new episodes as soon as they're released.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright.